Alrighty, welcome to this video. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a playlist where you can click on the song you want to play and it'll play it. It gives you a lot more flexibility than having a bunch of audio players and such. So, first thing we're going to do is create a new folder, like usual. So I'll call this playlist. Okay, and then I'm going to do file new inside of brackets here, and we're going to put everything on the same HTML file, so we don't need to have more than one. So we don't need to do view split or anything like that. So I'm going to save that. We'll go out to playlist. Come on, where art thou? There we go. Call it playlist.html. Okay, and we'll do what we always do. So set up the doc type. We're going to set up the HTML tags. Set up the head tags. Set it there, we got the title. Call this playlist. They're on the body. So to do this, we're going to use a little bit of CSS, but the majority of it's going to be JavaScript because we basically have to tell it when we click on a link, we need to replace the source with something else, and we'll get there. But we're going to use JQuery as well, which is a JavaScript framework that we're going to show you a little bit as we go through. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'll get my HTML set up here. Bring the body back here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't really like okay. Yeah, I don't really like these indentations. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put in an audio tag. Guess we'll indent that over a little bit. And then, of course, we're going to want the controls. And then I'm going to give this an empty source because we're going to control the source with the JavaScript. And then I'm going to give it an ID of, let's just call it player. Because that's going to be what we call it with the JavaScript to tell it what to do. So think of an ID as just kind of a label in JavaScript that you put on there so you can call it in the code and make it do things. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is set up an unordered list, and we're going to put our songs in here. Now to do that, I'm just going to grab some songs that I already have. So I will left click or right click here, and I'm going to just call this audio. Okay, these are the songs that I have that I'm going to be using. There's just 3 of them, and of course you can do as many as you want, but I'm just going to do the 3. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is inside of these LA or these LI tags, I'm going to do an A tag. And I'm going to set it equal to the songs. And I'll just call it Boys to Men, because that's what it is. Okay, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this and put in my other songs. So the other one, I can't remember, it was like song something, yep, song.mp3, and then this was song 2. Okay. Now, just in case the audio player isn't supported in the browser, I'll put a little message here saying, hey, sorry, your browser doesn't support audio. Okay, but we're not going to put in any source tags or anything like that in here because we're going to be pulling the source from here and we're going to be putting it we'll basically pull the source from here, and then we'll put it into there using JavaScript when we click on a button. All right, so then we're going to do ID on the unordered list here, and we'll call it PL for playlist. Okay, and now let's take a look at that and see what it looks like. Okay, so we have the audio player here, and then we have the songs that I actually need to rename. So this other one was done by a group called Home Free, God Bless America. Next one, Home Free, God Bless the USA. Yeah, and that one is, I think, National Anthem. Been using these all over the place. Okay, so there we go. So now we save it, come back, and then there we go. Now, a few things we'll want to do. You don't have to, it'll still work, but we want to style these a little bit. We want to get rid of the dots here, and we want to kind of change the color of these links. And you can do a lot to this to make it look more like a playlist. But I'm going to do that here up in the head. So I'll do a style tag. And the first thing I'm going to style is playlist. Oops, PL. So playlist, and I want to say the list.style is going to be none. So if we come back, that gets rid of the little quote or the little bullets there. Okay, the next thing I want to change is the A tags because I don't really like how they're blue. I want to get rid of the underline. I want to get rid of the color here. Just change up the color. So again, we got PL, and then I'm going to go to LI, and then I'm going to go to the A's. And so what that means is I am kind of slowly navigating to what I want to style. So I go to the ID of PL, and then I go to the LA, and then I go to the A. So I am styling all the A tags inside of the LI tags that are inside of the list with the ID of PL. So I'll be styling all these A tags here on whatever I put. So I'm going to say color, I guess black. We'll do that for now. And then text decoration, I'm going to say none. So what that's going to do is make the text black, and it gets rid of the underline. But I could change this, obviously to any color I want. So maybe gray. It just depends on what kind of color scheme I'm going for here. Yeah, I'll do gray just because that kind of matches the player. Okay, and then the other thing I want to do is what we're going to have is every time we click on a song or whenever a song is playing, we're going to have it highlight. So it's going to turn a different color than the other ones. So the way I'll do that is I'll just grab this first one because it's probably the first one that's going to happen, that's going to play. And I'm going to give it a class of current song. So current-song, and then we will define what that is right up here. So I'll just change the color to black. So basically, whenever one of these is playing, it's going to go black instead of the color gray. Okay, so we have the class current song, so we say current song, but we're going to say go to the playlist first. So playlist, then go to current song, and then change all the A tags inside of the class current song to black. So let's run that. Okay, so that one's black. As we start clicking them, the ones that's playing will turn black as we do the code there. So Okay. Let's see. The next thing, we got all those set up. So the next thing we got to do is go get the jQuery framework. So just a quick thing about jQuery. So jQuery is a JavaScript library. Let's go to their site real quick. So basically what jQuery has done, it's used all over the web, but jQuery, people took these libraries and they wrote a bunch of code that does amazing things, and then they basically put it all into a JavaScript file. And then all you got to do pretty impressive, intense stuff, you just call certain commands that jQuery already recognizes. And then you will call, like there's an animate thing where you can tell things to animate with jQuery, but all you got to do is just you call a little animate function and then it does it, where then it goes into the library and does all the hard stuff. So it's just a bunch of predefined things that have been written, a lot of hard stuff that was really tough to do back in the day in JavaScript. But with jQuery, you just embed the library and then you call certain things out of that library that do cool stuff, and you don't have to code the whole thing. So that's kind of what jQuery is. So to get it into your site, it's not too bad. I'm just going to do jQuery, I guess script code, something like that. Or we could say, actually, jQuery embed code. So we can go to this hosted libraries one. This is all the different libraries you can get that Google has. And there's AngularJS, there's a bunch of them, but we're going to be doing jQuery. So I'm going to come down here, and we're going to use 2.0. We're going to use the 2.1. This may work with 3, but I know for a fact it works for 2. So I'm going to grab this code, copy it, and then I'm going to bring it up here into my code, and I'm going to put it right underneath the UL here. So it is important that you put this in the right spot. So what we want is we want all the HTML to load first and all the CSS to load first. And then after it loads, then it's going to load the jQuery file so we can actually start calling the jQuery functions and commands and things like that. And then we're going to actually write our JavaScript down here, which is going to use jQuery. So to do that, we're going to use the script tag. And then we'll just start writing it in there. Okay, so this is where things are going to get a little crazy. This is where we're going to start writing the JavaScript that'll make it so whenever we click, let's go back here. Whenever we click on one of these, it'll switch out the source, and it'll change the color, and it'll do everything we need to where we can click on any of these links and it'll play the song that we click on. So we're going to be going back and forth really as we build this, the functionality. As we build the functionality into it, we'll go in there and test it. You're not going to really be able to hear the music just because it's going to be going through my headphones, but I'll let you know if it's playing or not. And if it's not, we'll figure out why. So we'll come down here. I'm going to hit enter a bunch of times just so we can can at least kind of see this. And I'll explain the code as we write it. So first thing we want to do is we want to call a function called audio player. We haven't defined it yet, but we're about to. So to do that, a function is just the name of the function here, and then it usually has parentheses. You can put parameters in here if you want to, and this is the end of the line. A function is just a group of code that's ran when you tell it to. It's ran when some sort of event happens, and we're going to be writing a couple of functions here with this. So the first function is audio player. So now we're actually going to define this function and what it'll do. And to do that, we're going to put it in curly brackets. That's pretty typical. You say The function that you're declaring that it's a function, you give the function a name, and then you put the function inside of these curly brackets. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is set up a variable, and we're going to call it current song. And what that does is we're going to use this variable to track what song we're on. Now we're going to be using arrays. In other words, arrays start counting at 0, and when you set up these unordered lists, they're considered they're an array to JavaScript. And so this first song here is considered 0. The second song is considered 1, and this third song is considered 2. And that's just how it starts counting. So we're going to use this later, but right now we're just setting it up and we're saying the current song is going to be 0. Next thing we're going to do is start writing some JQuery here. And so we do $, parentheses, and then we're going to say go to the player, and we're going to use the first player on the page, which is just this one, and we're going to set the source equal to $, parentheses, playlist LIA, and then we put that in brackets. So I know this looks a little weird, and let me explain it. So it's going to whatever element has the ID of player, which is this audio player right here, because we have ID equals player, and it's going to the first one on the page. Well, there's only one, so that's okay. But we still have to define that it's the first set of audio tags on the page. That's what this 0 is saying. And then we're going to change the source right here. See how the source is empty. We're going to set that source equal to, and again, we're going onto the page, so we're looking for, we got to do, there we go, #. So we're looking for an element with the ID of PL, which is right here. And then we're going to an LI that's inside of that element with the ID of PL, which is right here. And then we're going to the A tag, which is nested inside of there. And we're going to the first A tag. That's what that's saying. If I had this, then we'd be going to the second A tag inside of there. And if I had that, we'd be going to the third. Now, JQuery is smart enough to basically store whatever's inside of the href here, inside of this, which is interesting. So if I do a little alert, we're going to be doing that now and then. But if I alert this, that's going to tell us what it looks like. So I hit save and it alerted us. So alert, you can use alerts to see what things are equal to. So I'm alerting whatever this is equal to. When we go to the ID of PL, we go into the LI and the A, and then we go to the first A tag inside of there. And that's equal to the direct link to the MP3 file. So that's all we're doing is we're setting the source right here, the source up here, we're setting it equal to the link to that first MP3. Okay, so Java, like I said, jQuery is just smart enough to know, okay, you're going to the ID of PL, you're going to the LI, and you're going to the A, and you're going to the first A tag, and it stores in there what that's equal to, which is the full length, the full link here to that MP3 file. Now I could go a step further and say href. Okay, and then I could come over here and alert that. It's the same thing. But that's kind of the shorthand way of doing it. I don't need the href there. It just kind of already knows that since I'm saying go to the first link, it's going to take whatever that first link is equal to, the href. Okay, cool. So it's good to throw alerts in here sometimes just to see if you're not sure what something's doing and you want to get an idea of what it's equal to, you can do that. Right, so now when I refresh, you can see that it sets it equal to the first one. So it's setting the source of that player, right up here, it's setting the source equal to the first link, okay, which is that one. Now if I changed it to 1 and saved it, then you can see that the number's changed. It's actually on this one now. Okay, but we want it to start on the first one on the playlist. Okay, moving on. Now, one thing you can do, this is up to you. I could come over here and say, okay, grab that first audio player that we have and play. And that's basically going to kind of like autoplay it. So it loads it and then it'll just start playing. See, I didn't hit play and it's already going. Now, I personally don't want that, so I'm going to comment that out with 2 slashes. This is a single line quote. Like I said, I really don't want that to happen, so I'm going to just comment that out. But if you want it to autoplay and start playing the first one, or whatever one it loads here, go for it. But like I said, I don't really want that. All right, so the next line is going to be, we got player, nope. Sorry, we got playlist, okay, LIA, so again, we're accessing the A tags inside of there. And we're saying click, so when we click on any of the A tags inside of here, so whenever we click on any of these, we're going to tell it to do something. So when we click, we're going to run a function, and we're going to pass a parameter called E. This can be anything you want here, but we're going to pass this parameter to inside of this function so we can do something with it here. Okay, and then we're going to put curly brackets, and then we're going to hit enter a few times. Okay, and then just to finish this out, we're going to hit a semicolon. So, again, the ID of PL, which is right here, we're going to the list item, right? This list item, we're going to the A's. So whenever we click an A inside of these LI tags, inside of the ID of PL, we're going to run this function. And it's going to be inside of this curly bracket. So the first thing we want to do is go E prevent default. What that does is it says, okay, links, usually when I click on you, you're going to open up, well, let me show you. So we get rid of that. So by default, when I click on it, it's just going to open it in its own page. I don't want that. I want it to open and play in the same page I was on. So when we say prevent default, we're telling the links to stop working the way they usually do. So when I click on them now, they don't do anything. So basically turned off the default functionality of the links, which we want because we don't want it to do what it would normally do. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, just getting there. It's crazy. Okay, it's $, parenthesis, quote. Now we're going to go to the player. Okay, and we got to tell the player to do some stuff. So again, go into the first player on the page, which is the only one. And we're saying the source is going to be equal to this. Now this is a keyword that knows basically what this means is whatever we're inside right now. So we're inside of this. So it's going to set the source equal to whatever one we clicked on. So whatever we click on, that's what this is. So I click on this third link here. Well, this is now the third link. Okay. And we're telling it to be equal to this, which remember has the whole href, this whole thing in here kind of saved inside of it. So all that line is doing is saying, all right, set the source of the player equal to whatever we just clicked on. So if we click on this one, it's going to set the source equal to that. If we click on the second one, it's going to set the source equal to that. Right, so that's all we're doing on that line. Okay, and then now that the source has been set, we want to tell it to play. And we kind of already did that up above, but just like that, like we did here, but I just commented it out. So we set the source, and then we tell it to play, because we clicked on it and obviously we want to hear it play. All right, so it worked. I clicked on it, it worked. Clicked on it and it worked. So we're getting there. Good stuff. Okay, now, I mean, if we wanted just a simple playlist thing, okay, we're getting close. This is the basic functionalities. We click and it plays. But there's some other stuff that we want to have happen. Remember, we want the one to be playing to be black here and the ones that aren't playing to be gray. So we need to kind of mess with that a little bit. All right, so the next one we're going to do is we got to play with, PL, LI. So we're going to the ID of PL and we're going to the LI and we're going to use a method called remove class. And the class that we're going to remove is this, current song. We want to remove the class from whatever we clicked on. So as you can see, using JQuery, we can manipulate the CSS. So we can say go to the ID of PL, which is right here, go to the LI tags, which is right there, and remove the class current song from them. All right, so that just kind of removes it from everywhere. See, now when I click, it removed the class. Now they're all gray. So that's good. Okay, moving on. So now we're going to set current song. Remember that variable we made up here that's equal to 0. We're going to set it equal to this dot parent dot index. Okay, so when you have these in arrays, like jQuery is looking at them, you know, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. The index is whatever one you've selected. So now current song is going to be equal to whatever one we clicked on. So if I clicked on the second one, it's going to go this, the thing I clicked on, the parent, and then the index of that. So anyway, so it'll be down in here, it'll be the A tag, it goes up to the parent, which is the LI tag, and then it's going to grab the index of that. So if I clicked on this one, so I click on it, it's now selected the A tag, it goes up one, the parent tag of the A tag is the LI tag because that's the tag that it's in, and then it's going to look at the index of that. So the index is where it falls in that array, which is the group of elements. So that's 0, that's 1, that's 2. So if I click this one, it selects the A tag, it goes up to the parent tag, and then it checks out the index, and the index would be 1. So this is just how we can kind of keep track of what song we're on. That's all that's doing. So when I click that, it gets rid of the class, and then it sets current song equal to whatever one we selected. So in this case, if I selected the second one, current song would be equal to 1. Okay, so that's what that's doing. Okay, and now we're going to go this dot parent, Remember, again, that's the li tag that it's in. Add class, so we can remove classes and add them. So we're going to add what class? We're going to add the class current, current song. Bring that up a little bit. All right, so let's take a look. So I click. There we go. Now it's working. So again, just to kind of review, we got current song equals 0, which we'll be using later. We got to check to see what song we're on and then do something depending on what song we're on. Okay, we set the source equal to the first one. Okay, and then we can have it autoplay if we want. And then this is what happens when we click. So when we click on one of these A tags, it's going to prevent the default thing. So when I click it, it's not going to open the MP3 in another window, or it's not going to open it in its own window. It's going to turn off the default functionality there. It's going to go to player, which is right up here, the ID of player, and it's going to set the source equal to this. And this is the A tag that I clicked on. All right. So basically think of this. This is basically that right up there. Remember the href, the link to the music basically. So this is whatever I clicked on. Okay, and then it tells, so now that the source is equal to the href here, the link to the song, now I can tell the player to just play because I've set the source to be equal to the right song, and then it starts playing. And I also remove the class from the li tag that I selected. Okay, so it goes to the ID of PL, and it goes to the li tag, and it's going to remove the class, and that removes the class from all of them. All right, then it sets current song equal to the index of the li tag that we selected. So just think of this as ladders. It starts at the A tag, then it goes up to the li tag, and then it grabs the index or the location of the li tag inside of that little array. So again, if we selected this, it'd be 1. If we selected this, it'd be 0. If we selected this, it'd be 2. So now if I selected on this, current song would now be equal to 1. If I selected this one, current song would be equal to 2. Right? And then it takes the A tag that we selected, goes up to the parent of it, the li tag, and then it adds the class. You can't do it like this because that removes the class from all of them. If I were to say add class here, it would add that class to all of them, which we don't want. We just have to do the one that we selected. So this, the A tag we selected, go to the li tag of the A tag that we selected and add the class of current song. Okay. Oops. So, working pretty good. So, playlists usually when you get to the end of the song, it's just going to go to the next one. So right now, if I go to the end of this song, I hit play. Okay, it ends and it just stops. It doesn't go to the next one. Well, this is the next code that we're going to write, is we're going to tell it, okay, when it's done, go to the next one. And this is where we're going to be using current song a little bit more. Okay. So we're done with this function. We have everything happening that we want to when we click on it. So the next thing we're going to do is set up some more commands here. So we're going to say player. Again, we're going to be messing with the first player on the page, which is the only one. We're going to add event listener. If you've done any coding in Flash, this should be kind of familiar. Okay, and the event we're listening for is ended. This is a built-in command that JQuery just understands, is when this song has ended, we're going to run a function. And the function we're going to run is right here. We're just going to set it up right there. So we're not calling a function, we're not creating a function, just when it ends, we're writing the function right here. We're telling it right here what to do when it ends. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say current song plus plus. This is a coding thing that says just add 1 to it. That's what plus plus means. So if it was 2, it would add 1 to it, making 3. If it was 20 million, it would add 1 to it, make it 20 million and 1. If it was 2, or if it was 1, it would add 1 to it, making it 2. So it takes whatever current song is equal to at that time, and it adds 1 to it. And it makes sense because right here, we've set what current song should be. It's whatever one we select. And then when it's done playing, we're going to add 1 to it because it's going to go to the next one in the list. So that's what we're doing there. So we add current song, we add 1 to current song, and we're going to set up an if statement. So if current song is equal to, you got to have two equal signs. So you may ask, well, what's the difference between this? Why do you only have 1 there and why do you have 2 here? Well, when you have 1 equal sign, that means you're assigning. You're assigning current song, or you're assigning 0 to current song. You're making an assignment. When you have 2 equal signs, you're comparing. So we're seeing if current song is equal to something. We're comparing it to something else. So that's the difference between the 2 equal signs. So if current song is equal to playlist lia dot length, we want to do something. So length is used a lot with arrays. Length just goes through the array of right here, goes through the array of all the elements, and it just returns how many are in there. So it's going to go into the, oh, I need a, there we go, ID. So it goes to the ID of PL, it goes to the LI, and then it goes to the A's, and it checks to see how many there are. That's what length does. So this will return 3. We hope, right? But we can check it. You don't need to write this. We're just checking to see something here. So if I say alert, I can alert this, and this will tell me how big it is. Maybe. Yeah, so to do this alert, I needed to comment out this code because this code isn't complete yet. So I just did / ****/. So anyways, so I put it in here. So when I come over here and I click on something, it alerts 3. So it's interesting. The length property here doesn't start at 0. So it's telling me the actual number. It counts the way we're used to it. So it goes up here and it goes 1, 2, 3. It counts 3 A tags inside of that array. So 1, 2, 3. So it returns 3 to us. So that's what it's doing there. So that's what the length property does, is it just returns the value of how many items are in that array. So let's uncomment this. So we're saying if current song, whatever we have, remember right here we said which one we're on. So if I click the second one here, 1, this would be equal to 1. And then I go to the next song, it adds 1 to it, so it would be 2. So it says if 2 is equal to 3, this is the length of the array is 3, then I want to do something. Well, if I click on this song and it's the second one, so I got 1 here, it's 1, that's the index inside the array, so I have 1, it adds 1 to it, so now I'm 2. Well, 2 is not equal to 3, so it's not going to do what we tell it to. But if I'm on this one, which is 2, and then it adds 1 to it, now I'm at 3, so current song is equal to 3, yeah, which it is. then what we want to do is, so what we're doing is saying basically if we're on the last song, we need to do something. Because if I select this one, it's an index of 2. So current song would be 2. Then it adds 1 to it, so 3. So if 3 is equal to 3, because this is equal to 3 because there's 3 things in the array, then we need it to do something. And all we're going to do is we're going to reset current song. We're going to reset it back to 0. So once we reset it back to 0, then it can loop back and start playing the first one again. So that's why we're setting it back to 0 there. Okay, but if it's not 3, if this is 2 or 1, it's just going to skip this part and it's not going to do it. It's just going to keep going and keep playing. Okay, so the next bit of code we're going to write. Oops, come on, work with me here, guys. Okay, so we're just going to do what we did before. We're going to remove the class. And the class we're going to remove is current song. So this is when this ends. So when a song ends, it's going to check to see if it's on the last one. If it is, it's going to set current song to 0. If it's not, it's just going to skip this and it's going to go to the next line of code. So when a song ends, it's going to remove the class from everything, just like we did up here. Okay, so nothing will be black anymore. And now we have to do another thing here. So okay, this line is going to get a little weird, just so you know. Okay, we'll explain it once we get it in here. So this is just kind of a fancy way of adding the class back on. All right, so to kind of get what it's doing, you got to remember that this is telling you the index number of the array. So right here it's saying do the first player on the page, which is just that one. So over here, we're saying, okay, go to the list of ID of PL, which is up here, and then we're going to select. This is all this is doing. This is what this EQ does, is EQ tells it to select. So it's going to select, and whatever number you put inside of here is going to be the index of what it's selecting. So it's going to select the index of current song. Well, current song is whatever song it's going to be on next. Okay, and then it's going to add the class to that current song. Okay, these pluses are a thing called concatenation. In other words, it's going to take li, EQ, and it's going to add to it whatever this is equal to. So in this case, 1, 2, okay, and then it's going to add the class to that. So for example, okay, let's say we click this one. Okay, so now current song is going to be equal to 1 right up here. Okay, it goes to the next song, so it adds a 1 to current song, so current song is now 2. If current song is equal to 3, which it's not, it doesn't set that back to 0. Then it comes over here, it removes all the classes. Now current song is now 2. So it's going to go to the ID of PL, which is right up there. It's going to go to the second, or I guess not the second, but the li tag that has the index of 2, because that's what EQ does. EQ tells you to select something inside of an array. So we have 2. So 0, 1, 2. So it's going to select this one, and it's going to add the class current song to it. Okay, that's all it's doing there. So don't let that trip you up too much. When you have the colon EQ, you're just telling it what index to select. So what position in the array to select. And then we're going to add a class to that. And the class we're adding is current song. Okay, so next, moving on. Now we're going to mess with the player again. So player, which player we're going to do? It's the first one, the only one. And the source is going to be equal to the playlist LIA current song .href. I don't think we need the .href, but I guess we can leave it there. Okay, and then, so let's talk about this line. So we're saying go to the player with the ID of player, right up there. Okay, it's the first one on the page, it's the only one, and we're setting the source equal to, this is pretty similar to what we did before. So we're going to say go to PL, right there, go to LI, right there, go to A, and we're going to select the href right here, the href of whatever index we're on. All right, so let's say right now we're on index 2, so current song would be equal to 2, so it'd go 0, 1, 2, and it would grab the href of the A tag that has the index of 2. And it would set it equal to the href of that, and the href is that. Okay, so again, we're just using current song. So we come back, we click on 2. Okay, it finishes, it ends, we add 1 to it. So now it goes from 1 to 2. Okay, 2 is not equal to 3, so it doesn't do that. It moves on, it removes the class. Okay, it selects 2. That's what that does. The EQ selects the index of 2, and it adds the class to it. So it add the class to this, so this would become black. And then it would set the source of the player, which is right up here. It'd set the source equal to, we got the ID, LIA, current song, which is 2. So right here, the href of that. So when you see these brackets, what you put inside of these brackets is usually the index. So current song would be equal to 2 in this case. So it's going to grab the third one, 0, 1, 2. It's the third one in there. And it's going to grab the href, which is right here. And it's going to set that equal to the source. Okay, and so now again, just like we've done before, now that we've set the source, we're going to tell it to play. Just hitting delete a bunch, trying to get that up. Come on, there we go. All right, then we can move this up as well. Okay, so let's hope this works. If it doesn't, we'll troubleshoot it, but it should be good. So, refresh. Okay, so we can hit play. Plays, Mike want to play this, so I click there. It removed the class and it applied that class to it, so it's now selected. And it plays. I select that. We're good. So I'm going to go to the end. So remember, everything that happens when it ends is right here. So let's see if it works. It should go to the next one. Okay, cool. So it went to the next one. It's removed the class from that. It added it there. And now we have this little if statement saying if it's on, basically if it's on the last song, so if current song on the last song would be Well, when it gets to the last song, the index is 2, then it gets 1 added to it, so it becomes 3. So if current song, which is 3, is equal to 3, because the length is 3, because there's 3 things in there, if it's 3, then current song will be 0. And then it removes the class. Okay, it selects the li of 0, which is the first one up here, and it adds the class to it. It sets the source to the current song, which is 0. So the a of 0, which is right up there, sets the href to there. So it just kind of starts over and it plays. Hopefully, we'll see. It's on the last song. We bring it over. Okay, and then it just goes back to the first one. Okay, so it's working the way it should. Now, of course, you can use CSS if you want to make this playlist look a little better. You could add a border around it if you wanted to. You could set it up to where if you had a bunch, you could scroll up and down. That's going to be up to you and what you want to do after this. But this is the basic functionality. Now all you got to do is just kind of style up the playlist and make it look a little bit better. But anyways, guys, hope that helped. Cool little thing to know. We learned a little bit about JQuery, what it does, a little bit how to code in it. And if you have any questions, as usual, let me know. We'll see you.